at 6:03 p.m. And the first agenda item is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next agenda item is correspondence, visitors, and public comments, in which we have none. Agenda review, Julie, do you have any?
No, nothing.
Next is the approval of minutes from June 4th, 2024. Somebody like to make a motion to accept those minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes from
Mm.
June 4th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any discussions or changes?
You check if Dawn can hear us.
Yeah. Dawn, can you hear us? I'm chatting to see if he hears.
Can you help?
Oh, hi.
We can hear you,
Hi,
yes.
Dawn. Did you have anything that, any changes or comments about the minutes from June 4th? Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it's the opportunity.
Red like a,
It keeps muting himself.
I go off and then it comes back on immediately. Anyway, I was commenting on the Wednesday weekly. I enjoyed reading all the people and what they had done. Thought that was very nice. I do have a question for Chris. Chris, are you doing the Wednesday weekly or is one of the staff members doing it now?
Dawn,
So
I'll
I'm
give
giving
it, Chris.
over John to Sam Stenta, who's our new office manager. So she's putting it together and sending it out now.
Okay.
I certainly
I
read
thought I was
it.
gonna say, I thought it was a big improvement, but that would be fair.
Well, that may be true, Don.
No, I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
All right, Don, we're going to vote on the approval of the June 4th, 2024 minutes. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Uh,
Thank you, Don.
I repeat myself, I wasn't here.
702. Admin reports will continue on with Swanton. Since Don got the ball rolling on that, did anybody have any comments for Chris or questions for Chris about his report? Chris, is there anything you'd like to highlight for us?
Just a couple of quick things, if I can. Things that couple that I didn't write in my report. I had an opportunity, along with a bunch of teachers from the district and other administrators today, to go to a really incredible literacy training hosted by Highgate called Shifting the Balance, that was led by 3 of our district literacy coaches. And I'm really excited about that work. It really talked about the research and the science behind literacy. And how that aligns with the reading curriculum that we're beginning to implement. So we'll certainly hear more about that in the fall, but that was just a really exciting piece of work that took place today. I wanted to kind of give an early shout out to Jason Butler and our custodians who are already hitting the ground running at Swanton. Our library is well underway with its renovations. It's completely empty. The bookshelves are out. We're doing lots of pictures along the way so we can do a little retrospective in the end so you all can see the before and after. But we're really excited about those renovations, and our librarian is particularly excited about that. So a couple of really exciting things. I also didn't want to miss the opportunity to recognize Justina, who's here tonight for her last board meeting, and just to thank her for her 9 years in total, but certainly her 3 years that I've had the opportunity to work with her. And she's just been an amazing support and incredible just colleague to work with. And I can't thank her enough for the many ways that she has supported me and supported our school and our families. And I'm really appreciative of that. And I wanted to make sure to acknowledge that tonight as well.
I'll miss it. I will. I know I will. But I just got to do some different things right now and support my family in some different ways. So maybe I'll be back. But I'll miss you all. And I'll be watching. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Justina. The board really appreciates everything that you've done in the school system, and we wish you the best of luck. Next, I'm going to go to Highgate just to make sure Joyce is settled. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Yeshua? Yeshua, I heard you put on quite the amazing graduation once again. Congratulations on that. What very positive things in the community.
Good. I'm very glad to hear that. I'm always trying to go through and reflect and make sure we're really student centered, and so it was really great as usual. And yeah, it was a great event. So thank you. I'm glad you're hearing that.
I would just add thank you, Yeshua, for the invite. It's always really nice to be able to present those 6th grade graduations. It was special in my particular case, and the video presentation for anyone who weren't there, they had what was it, like 8 minutes, 6 minutes? Yeshua?
Yeah, about 8 minutes.
It was really good. And they had like baby pictures of the kids, and the kids were laughing. And I got something in my eye at one point. And then both the teachers, they read kind of like a thank you, but they did it in like new kid talk. So the kids were cracking up. So it was really good, and thanks for putting that on. So.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and it's actually Jameson Berthume who actually does our video. He actually, went through the system. He works for NCSS, I believe was based actually at Highgate last year, which is how we got him kind of hooked up with the gig. He's not at Highgate anymore, but yeah, making the videos it's really incredible. And sometimes tears happen. It's okay, Rennick.
It was a dust.
Yeah, oh yeah. We'll clean better next year.
I don't think there's any doubt.
Thanks, Yeshua.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you'd like to highlight, Yeshua?
I don't think if there's anything necessarily to highlight from beyond the board report, but I think we just had a really good couple of final days of in-service, and we really got to honor a couple of our retirees, which was wonderful, and they both wanted things just in a different way. So one almost wanted to be unrecognized, like she wanted to have cake and just say she's retiring and kind of hang out, and the other one wanted more of a let's go somewhere and just celebrate her years at Highgate. And she actually was there for 34 years, so it's quite incredible. I think The other teacher was similar amount of time, not as much at Highgate, but it's always nice to honor them. And we did get a chance for some new staff to come in the building over the couple of days so they could kind of get a lay of the land. And one thing we do, which I always love, is transition meetings where like first grade meets with second grade and to talk about the kiddos they're going to have. And we just have a system of kind of helping move the students along. So it's end of the year is always a lot going on. It's very busy and sometimes we're pretty tired, but it's also very exciting to be just celebrating a whole year. And there's some great like teacher groups on social media that talk about, you really form a little family by the end of the year in your classroom, and you have to literally just say goodbye to them as they move on. And that's just so true. So we really try to focus on how to celebrate. And we did choose to have field days as the last day this year instead of the day before. So it was actually just a great way of, saying goodbye and celebrating, which did include some MVU, I believe 9th and 10th graders volunteered and they came for a couple hours and just helped ran some of the games and stations we had. So that was really fun. So yeah, great end of the school year and looking forward to the summer planning to get ready for the next.
Thank you. Joyce, are you all set? She's still.
I think we lost her.
When we get her back, I'd like to, yes, circle back around to Joyce. Next agenda item is presentations and discussion items, and A is the budget discussion. So, ready?
I'll let you use Joyce back. No, I wanted to read something that I posted in on social media about the budget and in passing, so I just want to read that to the minutes. That's okay. The MVSD school budget has been successfully passed on its third vote, and I extend my sincere gratitude to the community members of Squanton, Highgate, and Franklin for their support. While no budget is perfect, it did represent a truly diligent effort to balance fiscal responsibility and the needs of our students and educators. We are thrilled to continue our operation to provide the best educational services to our students we can. Going forward, the board recognizes the need for continued improvement and will take into account the challenges faced during this tumultuous budget year. We understand the concern of our community members regarding the tax impact and will continue to consider that while striving to give our students the best education we can afford. Overall reform is needed in Montpelier on how the state funds education, and I encourage everyone to remember this come fall and vote for representatives that support making Vermont affordable. So that was my statement.
Can you forward that to us so we can make sure it's captured completely in the minutes?
Yeah.
I was just gonna email you,
You
ask me
didn't
for
think
that.
Anytime I email it to the educators, I'm like, grammar, spelling, punctuation, where did he go to school?
Anybody else have anything they'd like to say?
Yeah, thanking everyone for supporting, coming out and supporting the budget.
I thought it was really good when I saw the numbers.
Ju-
I was quite impressed with it. It was like, 300 for Article 1 and significant for, it wasn't just like only by 10 it passed, so I was,
766 to 594.
yeah, yep, and that's pretty good, so I'm really pleased with that.
I also think we should,
Thankful to the community for sure for voting yes on those.
we should also thank the MVU softball champions
Yes.
for just having a very positive air around what we do. So very glad the community was able to come out and support this. And 4 months until we started off.
Julie,
Yes, Don?
sometime could you Laura emailed, probably by the votes in each first time what the vote was. I made the first time, I didn't do the second time, and then the third, because it appears that, the vote count that dropped a lot, dropped all people who had been coming out to go down the budget. And the numbers for, I think, that this one I looked at, for the budget did change that much. And so sometimes just like to see the numbers, maybe we'll have our retreat, we can talk a little bit more about that. But it certainly was wonderful. I'm going to tell you, from what I was hearing, I thought it was going to be very close. I saw that, I went, wow. Nice surprise.
So you want the first
All
three,
three.
all three votes of what?
Yep, I can do that.
That would be good to see.
Yeah, and there's no urgency on it. It's just something I'd like to look at and
Yeah, feel free to just interrupt me if I don't catch it, but when you get Joyce back.
Okay.
Joyce, can you hear us?
Right, next agenda item, board goals and the beer trial.
And you want to dismiss the rest of the administrators except Joyce, hopefully rejoin?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not until after C, because I think the continuous improvement plan is important to be heard, and then if we do get Joyce back.
All right, so we had a nice meeting of student success last night where we had the long version of this presentation and we're going it out without the but it's we really tried to touch on each of the 4 board goals and share the data that we have available. We don't have all of it, but we have much of it, so that we can go through that and see how we're doing. And just hang on, you know how I am.
Alright, everyone, I know this is the time of the year where we all want to look back and see how did we do over the year, how did we do in terms of performance, toward progress towards our goals. And as Yeshua said, it's a busy time of year because we are looking at our data, we are making goals for next year. And, this time we decided we were going to present all the data related to the board goals. And then we present some of the CIP data, which isn't linked to the board goals a little bit later. So the first one we wanted to share was really about our academic achievement. We had set a lofty goal for ourselves that we wanted to get to 60% in reading and 70% in math on STAR 360. So we're going to show you how our schools did. You can see on this graph, this is how each of our schools did in fall and then spring. So we see a good growth in our elementary schools, a very slight dip at MVU. We did see a slight decrease, but overall in MVSD we did see an increase in percentage of proficiency from fall to spring. So in the next slide, we're going to show you what that data actually was. You can see that, sorry.
Yeshua is texting me, everybody, can see my text. Yeshua just was texting about.
He said Joyce is on her way. She's having technical issues.
Okay.
She's literally coming.
Must be.
Did you bring snacks?
Right? I have to do this, so I apologize, because in clicking that, my desktop is. There it is. thought she was back on.
Alright, so to go back to how our schools are doing, Franklin and Highgate were really close to our goal of 60%. Swanton and MVU still have some work to do regarding increasing reading proficiency, but as you know, we are launching a new reading program in grades 8 through 6 next year. So with that new evidence-based program being implemented, we are confident in the next few years we'll start seeing an increase at Swanton, where with all the data we've collected over the past few years, we know it's the early foundational skills that really need to be solidified. We are seeing more and more students coming in with very low language, starting in preschool, and so we've been talking really about how do we support those kids when they're coming in at those young ages and get that oral language skills so then they can really access, reading and writing. So although we do see an increase from 43 to 47% for the district, we are going to continue to maintain high expectations, and you will see at the end when we share our new CIP that we're going to keep it for the goals for the same for the next 5 years, so that we are giving teachers enough time to build their expertise with the new reading program.
How come Highgate isn't having a goal of 60 like the other schools?
So we put 60% as the district goal, but then each of them in their own school continuous improvement plan had created a goal for themselves based on their own data. But we were still wanting to see overall in the district getting to that 60%.
But they're already at 54 in the spring, and the others, well, all in Swan and the U are lower, but we still have a goal of 60%. It seems like they're already almost at the 55. You would think that we would want to stretch that goal.
Yeah.
Next year, that's what they will do, is they'll look at this year's data.
Well, that's this
That's
year.
this
That's
year.
This is this year's goal.
Oh, okay. That makes more
Right.
sense.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
so
is
they
it.
almost hit their goal then.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
So they were just a little off of that. So what is exciting is to see that our schools are getting closer to that goal, but we want to continue to maintain those high expectations and really support
good.
teachers as we are implementing our new reading program. And then at MVU, they've created a 5-year literacy plan. They this year introduced a new intervention called Just Words, which is really about breaking apart words and being able to pronounce them and then learn the meanings of words that are hard in vocabulary. And next year they're going to do a school-wide focus on morphology. So every teacher, including science, social studies, all content area teachers are going to be focusing on what is the vocabulary that's essential for students to be able to access content in their content area. And the exciting thing about it is they've already done their background research. They asked each of the departments, like science, social studies, and all the other departments, to give them what they thought were the 20 most critical vocabulary words that students need to learn. So in August, they're going to do a school-wide launch of that whole morphology focus. And the recent research in reading is really talking about how important that pieces, the vocabulary pieces to kids learning to read and comprehend text. So I think they have a great plan in place, and then we are trying to support as much as we can in terms of any kind of professional development. Megan?
So I understand we're implementing the new reading program, morphology. I think those are wonderful. This is a pretty big miss. So I'm wondering, what else we can be doing to help support the schools getting there, especially Swanton and MVU are significantly low. I'm just wondering, the 60%, if we didn't have the supports that we needed to get there, what are we doing to ensure that we don't miss it by such a large margin going
Good.
forward? Is it really
Yeah.
just relying on this new reading program and the morphology program, are there any other additional supports that we're implementing for our students?
That's a really good question, and it's one of the things we've been asking ourselves. So for example, at Swanton, they had two special ed positions that were unfilled for the whole year, right? So we know there's a teacher shortage out there, there's a shortage of specialists. So we worked with Chris and we started thinking outside the box, like if you can't fill those special ed positions, what else can we do? So we finally agreed to advertise for a reading specialist who can then work with our special ed students from K-3 and really help them to learn how to read. So we've already interviewed 2 candidates and Chris is interviewing a third one on Monday. So we are trying to see how we can fill those positions and get students that specialized instruction that they need. And we've got to really start thinking outside the box because there aren't more people coming around, right? So we can either say we are leaving these positions unfilled, or we can say, let's try to do it in a different way. And then the second position is being filled by an academic specialist who is a former Swanton teacher, classroom teacher, who is going to be supporting the special educators in providing instruction. So when we hire non-special ed positions for special ed positions, they can teach the kids, they can't case manage. So that's what we're doing. But right now we feel that we've really got to get reading specialists who can really teach kids how to read, knowing that our Swanton data is showing right from preschool that kids are coming in with very low language. We also know that Swanton has the highest rate of poverty. It's up to 60% now. And so, there is associated with poverty, the difference in vocabulary that students come in with. So keeping all those things in mind, we are trying to see what else we can do. But hiring the right people is always challenging. I think they've done a phenomenal job. I know Bonnie can speak to that, of trying to fill all their classroom teacher vacancies, but they're still not filled. So, when you have teacher turnover, it's hard to build any kind of expertise if you have people coming and going. So we know all these challenges, but keeping those in mind, we want to still keep striving to move forward.
The other short answer is that our continuous improvement goals are typically stretch goals, especially when you're looking at the entire district. So we always want to have a goal that is, not 100%, not something that's so, obviously that's what we want for our kids. But we always want it to be rigorous so that we have something that is within reach that we can strive for over a period of time. So that we knew that the 60 was going to be a stretch for our district as a whole, but we continue to expect that we will get there. With all the things that Kosha has said.
What about MVU?
At MVU, we are seeing pretty good growth in 7, 8. It's in the high school that we start seeing a drop because of relevance, right? At that grade level, they're like, why do I need to learn to read, right? So really bringing that relevance piece in, we had a lot of our coaches and interventionists take the Lexi course, which now there is a really excellent way of showing that relevance to high school kids. It's based on what profession you want to go into and what kind of books are you going to be expected to read. It may not be literature, but it may be a technical manual. It could be you need to read informational reports. So they are using that kind of sort of hooks for students to say, even if you don't go to college, you're going to be expected to read, and these are the kind of materials you're going to be expected to read. And so I think this year, I know Jen was really excited when we got to know what that resource was. So they're really helping students to think about, it's not just going to college, that's the reason you need to learn, but whatever profession you choose. So they're doing that. One of the things they're doing is really bringing that relevance piece in. I think also getting all the content teachers to be focusing on that morphology piece and helping them to think about your job is not just to deliver content, but to make sure kids are comprehending the material in your room, and these are some ways that you can do it. So, just having that school-wide focus, I think, is going to be very beneficial.
How do we measure, compared to the state, are we below the state as well, or?
We last year's VTCAP data, we actually performed better than the state. That's what we did both reading and math. So that was the first time that we broke through that barrier, and first time we did that. The VTCAP for this year, the scores are supposed to be released on July 15th. So as we look at those scores, we'll see if we do as well as last year, did we not do as well, and things like that. But overall, I mean, compared to the last 4 years, we are seeing a lot of growth in proficiency. I think now we have a lot of systems in place that weren't in place before. We've got a data warehouse where people can look at data more consistently and make decisions. So I think that with all those pieces in place, we are going to start seeing more growth. And then here's our math proficiency by school. Again, you can see we are seeing a positive growth in math proficiency in all 3 elementary schools from fall to spring. MVU had a slight increase in math proficiency in the middle school, and then the decrease in math proficiency at the high school is more at the 11th grade level, and again, it is because math is more electives based at that time, so we are not measuring all students, we're just measuring a small group of students. But we still want to make sure that we're keeping those high expectations and goals. So they just finished their second year of the math program, and first time, as Jen explained to us, they got to the quadratics part of it. So they feel that as they keep working on this new math curriculum and teachers are developing more expertise in delivery of the new math curriculum, we are going to see more positive results.
And we did very well compared to the state on our statewide testing. It's important. Even when we're concerned about our scores, we are typically doing as well or better than most places in the second. Because of all of that intense focus on the academic efforts.
So overall, at the district level, we showed an increase in math proficiency from 52 to 54%. And this is this year's CIP goal, but we'll be sharing with you at the end of the presentation what our goals are for the next continuous improvement.
So the second goal that we wanted to talk about is our engagement and attendance goal, and we have our district-wide MTSS attendance group that meets. Celine, our attendance and student engagement person here for the district, spends a lot of time collecting data for us, and also she works directly with families who are of chronic absence issues and families. So I think I'm going to show you. Before I do that, somebody has driven frantically.
That was a, well, I should say on camera, one of my very fast trips to Swanson. Well, I don't have anything momentous. Did you want me to do my report now? I don't want to interrupt. Is that, or you keep,
We're between sections.
so you want me to do my report now? Okay, I have nothing momentous to say. I just didn't want to miss the last meeting of the year. So, and that was
Coming in
incredibly.
good. You're coming in good.
Yeah, nice and clear.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you really well. I tell you, I had to go on 2 different laptops, I was on my phone, and it just kept saying there was no speaker, and the speaker in a laptop is built in. So I'm like, I cannot figure this out. So anyway, so, good evening, everybody. So, last report for the year. End of the year is super busy. Just always incredibly exciting though, all the things things are going on, just a lot of really special activities. Really started with early Memorial Day weekend with the Ride for Olivia, and then the Memorial Day activities was always really special. And helping out with that ride was just such a wonderful way to remember Olivia and trying to make something really positive coming out of something so tragic. And then, of course, we get into all the end of year field trips, and I always get so excited when I see all the different adults that go, even with the older kids. I love that there's not a big drop off between how many parents go with the first graders and how many are going with the sixth graders. And it just, they all went off so smoothly, and just kudos to the teachers for all the planning, and truly to not just the parents that went on the trips, but grandparents and special aunts and uncles, and it's just always neat to see all the connections with kids. Fun Fitness Day, despite the weather, which again, like tonight, which just was really a great day in spite of the weather, and again, families coming for the barbecue, just a really, really good time. And then we get into graduation, and I think the sixth grade graduation was really lovely at the gym. Just, it always amazes me how nice a gym can look when it's all decorated, and really proud of the sixth graders when they did their speech. They did a really nice little tribute to Jen doing in their speech. Just was really, really nice. And of course, at graduation, the stretch goal all year long was to have the sixth graders walk out the front door and be able to ring the bell. And they were able to do that. And for some of you that might not know, on TV, that bell was done in 1850 in the foundry of Paul Revere, and in 1850 was hung in the Franklin Academy, moved in 1910, I think it was, to what was then called Franklin Central School, and then in 1992 to the school we're in now, and then moved again this year. And so parents and grandparents and great-grandparents have rung that bell to start the school day. So that was really, really a nice thing at the end of graduation. And the next day after graduation was the MU graduation walk. So we still had all the great things up from graduation, the lights and all, so that was really nice. And fire truck let them in like it did last year. And I was just so proud of the sixth grade band members again, because the day after your graduation, to get up and regular time and come to school, to be able to play in the band for the kids from MVU. I just thought that was really, really nice of those kids to do that. But my favorite part of it was that they had requested to go on the playground, and I had the best time watching them on the playground. We've gotten out the parachute. I don't know if other people, I feel bad because I'm probably repeating a million things other people have said, but it was just so wonderful to see them out there on the playground with the parachute and going on the swing, and a couple of the kids said, "Can we have a basketball?" I was like, "Of course you have a basketball." And I'm scurrying around trying to find a basketball, and some of the parents joined us, and it just was just wonderful. And then, of course, we had in-service, which wasn't long enough. I was apologizing to Kosha today because I needed like 2 more days. I never usually want snow days, but there were just too many things to do this year during in-service. And, but we started moving, and I cannot tell you, the 9th graders that came the 2 days for the 2 hours each day, and again, people probably already talked about this, so I apologize, but they were amazing. They were so proud of what they were doing, and they worked and worked. And Stephen Reynolds, the facility director, was like, "We're so far ahead because of these guys and what they did. They were carrying boxes up from the basement. They were putting things away. They took down the graduation decorations." But the thing that I just liked the best was watching them. And the first day they were there, we still had school on that Wednesday, and so I was able to be out and around a little bit more and watching them in the hallway, and how we have the pictures up of all the grades, and watching them find their picture, and this was so and so, and the second day though, we had in-service, so we were in meetings, all day, and so we were down in the 4th grade classroom at the end of the building, one of the rooms we could get in, and at one point one of the MVU teachers came in that was with the group, and he said, "Do you know when you guys are going to take a break?" And I was like, "Well, wasn't planning on it for a while, why?" And he said, "Because the kids had asked to be able to talk to us." And I just thought that was so nice that they cared enough to ask to do that. So I was like, "Oh, we're breaking now then." When we're out of town right now. But anyway, so we started the move, and that's all happening. And so I did want to say that if somebody wants a tour, like tonight we were supposed to be in Franklin and we weren't there tonight, but if anybody wants a tour before we do the open house in August, I am there most of the summer, and so you just call me, email me, and I'd be glad to give anybody a tour, anytime before that August open house. And before I finish tonight, I don't know, probably the other guys are all gone, but I just really did want to publicly say how much I appreciated working with Justina and how much I'm going to miss her. And whether it was her help with Alice trainings or when we were both doing playgrounds over again and sharing info and details about that, or I still remember when I had to give that speech in Killington for with the BPA, and I am not a speech person, as you can tell every time, but she just helped me so much, settle me down, and make it so I could get through that. So I'm just really going to miss her and just appreciate so much what she's done here for Swanton and for our district. So, and that is my report. And I talked a little longer tonight because gosh darn it, usually it takes me 23 minutes to get here. Well, when I used to be here 20 years ago, 30 years ago now. But it took me a little less than that tonight, but still if I drove, I was like, I'll talk a little bit longer than I usually do. So thank you so much for accommodating me, and thank you.
Peter has.
So Joyce, I just wondered if you could say a few words. Jen Dewey's been such a big part of Franklin for a long time, and I know my kids and I know my nieces, they all said the best teacher that they ever had. To have that much influence in preschool on a person's life, I just think she's been phenomenal, and I just thought we should recognize her for all she's doing.
I think you just said it. I'm sure you said it better than I could, but that's exactly, I wish I had with me what the sixth graders said, because they basically said what you just said, that what they remember still is those, and for some of them, the 2 years that they had Jennifer doing. And Jennifer to this day still has so much enthusiasm, and kids are so engaged, and she is just a treasure. And I just wish she would have done Tom Brady one more time. But couldn't talk her into it. But yeah, we have been so fortunate in this district to have her for, I would say, there's so many years when I first started, Jen was doing a private preschool, but she was doing everything, pretty much everything she's doing now. And she was bartering with people, like people would give her chickens and this and that, and she wasn't getting paid. And I mean, I couldn't believe it. I think I was there 1 year, and I was like, oh my God, we should be paying this woman. She's teaching. So
We'd have a big barbecue every year, though. All those chickens.
Tell ya. But yeah, Jen has just had such an enormous influence on so many kids and staff. I mean, it's just, she sets the bar high, and that's a good thing. And we're really going to miss her, except I'm not going to say that, just like we had the staff get together at my house this past Monday night, and when she was leaving, I was like, I am not saying goodbye, because she's going to coach, mentor, whatever, whoever ends up coming to Franklin, and so that's the only way that it would be okay to have her walk out the door. So she'll still be with us, and I am still having a profound influence on what happens with our preschool and with our pre-K. As she has for such a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
When is the next meeting that will be at Franklin?
I think it's in September, I have it linked in the agenda of our meetings for next year.
Well, we were talking about probably having an open house, like maybe,
The in-service.
yeah, Thursday during in-service, which is like the 22nd, or the week before. It really kind of depends on when everybody's back and gotten in there, and we want to have people in. So, I mean, so people are welcome to come to the open house, or wait until, we have the meeting in September, or, like I said, come anytime this summer and have a personal tour. I don't know when the next facilities committee meeting is.
You have the open house date set.
No, that's right, it's either, we're looking at the 22nd, or it would be what, so during in-service, I'll know that everybody's back and got their things and their spaces and all of that. Like we wanted to have, like we talked about in the task force thing.
Yeah. So you'll let us know what you got.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes. I did shoot Julie a picture the other day that she said was worth 1,000 words because
Boxes to the sky.
that Jen Dewing has more resources than you could ever imagine. And they're all now in that pre-K book. Yeah, definitely will let everybody know. We'll get that out far and wide. But, I did want to say one more thing. I just wanted to say congratulations and thank you on the budget passing. And I just wanted to say that I was so impressed yesterday that I had several calls from community members who don't have kids in school, who don't even have grandchildren in school, who called me to say how happy they were that the budget had passed. So that was really
That's really good to hear. We did keep the other principals on because we're going over the continuous improvement things like that. Excuse me. I did have the other principals stay on because we're doing the continuous improvement. I thought we could come in for
Oh, great.
maybe here.
Oh, good. So
I'm hoping
they weren't
you're
just
gonna-
waiting for me.
I'm hoping you're gonna stay since you drove all the way down here.
Yeah, probably what I left in the oven probably won't be too good when I get there, but.
Or if you need to go home to
No,
your
no,
oven
no,
so your
no.
house doesn't burn down, if you prefer to do
No.
that.
My oven's so unused to working. Sure, probably taking a while to heat up.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you ready for me to?
Yep.
Joyce, just give me a wave if you need to, if your fire alarm's going off.
I'm more worried about the dogs. I left them in a precarious situation.
You have the chicken? All right. So attendance, that has been a goal of our district, and the board made it a district-wide goal last fall when you met. I wanted to show you, as you can see, by month, it's not surprising that as things get colder and as the flu and sickness season happen, that our attendance dips. But if you see, this is 90%. So we are not going below 90%, even in the deepest part of cold, dreadful February. And then things track back up in June. So overall, we have a good attendance rate. And what we discussed in the fall was that we wanted to create a goal that was less about the rate of attendance. And that had been very important during COVID because we slipped below that 90% that schools did. We wanted to get back up to a healthy rate overall. But really, then, bless you, and to focus on those students who are at moderate or severe levels of chronic truancy. And seeing if we can really reduce those that are most severely truant and increase the number of kids who just have sort of regular attendance. So I put together, using the data that we collect as a district attendance team, I just want to give you the key first before I show you the charts. Regular attendance is less than 10 days absent, right? So kids that are in school 9, in this school 9 or fewer times. At risk category is that sort of 2-week range, 10 to 18 days of absence from school. That usually involves kids who have been on vacations and been sick occasionally, right? So they're at risk, but they're not at that moderate or severe level. When we're talking moderate, we're at 19 to 35 absences in a year, and severe is where you're absent 36 to 100 plus days. So you have kids in this category, for sure. So, I need to find them. Okay, so as a district, you can see, we've been collecting this data in this way for the past 3 years. The blue is regular attendance, less than 10 days absent. So in 21-22, we we had 610 kids who were absent fewer than 10 days. Last year, we had 831, and now we're seeing more than half of our student population that is coming to school and missing only, 1 to 9 days. So that's a really nice jump that we're seeing. The kids who are in that sort of 2 to 3 week range of absence is here in the red, and you can see that that has gone down from 21, and it's pretty similar. It's still a decrease, but that's still a number we work at. And we've done a lot. JR did this fabulous series about the importance of attendance, and keeping kids in school, and we have seen some positive response to that. Here, when you're getting at the more than 36 days, or the 18 to 36 days rather, that has gone down pretty dramatically. We've really impacted that number significantly over the past several years. And the severe kids who are over 36 days, those numbers, 2 years ago, we had 153 students that were missing 40 plus days of school. And now it's 60, which is still more than we want. But again, that's why we have somebody who focuses on their work with those kids. Our guidance counselors focus on that with families as well. It's a concerted effort, but it is wonderful that we have someone who goes into homes and sees those patients about strategies to get kids to school. So I do have each school's data, which is really similar. You can again see that blue line going right up, which is what we want to see. Most of our kids coming to school most of the time. We've seen that in Highgate as well. We've seen it in Swanton as well. This number felt like it was 633 kids at Swanton. So if you have 13 kids who are in that chronically level, I think that's pretty, it's a testament to the amount of work that all of the teachers and staff. In middle school, you can really see is getting better. And even the high school, I was really surprised here because we do get a drop off as kids are working and they can be dismissed if their teacher's absent and they have their car here, and it's a lot easier for them to miss. But we still see significant improvement over the past several years.
What accounts for the increase in the at-risk in middle school, but that decreases in high school? Like the average from year to year is about the same, but there's just a higher number in middle school, which is actually lower than in high school. What does that do with?
I don't have a causation for that trend, but we can dig into that and find out what people think is the reason why. Are you talking about the red line here?
Well, because
Or are we talking about?
no, I'm talking about if you go to MVU middle school, so you see the at-risk is higher, right? And it was actually higher this year slightly than the year before.
Yeah.
But then when you go to high school, it drops. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what accounts for middle school having more at-risk, which is less than I think. What is explaining that?
The only thing, and this is off the top of my head, right, so we have not gone and examined the uses for everybody's absence, right? A lot of it is medical reasons. But also we have people who go out on family vacations. A lot of times what pushes people into that at-risk range of over 10 days is going to grandma's house in Florida, but it's not a school vacation. Or going to and you do typically see more of that at the middle level than you do at the high school. Maybe high school kids don't think about possible, but again, that would be a question for Celine to then dig into and look at the data. We collect neglect, excused and unexcused. So we don't really have in Power School a list of the reason beyond that, unless there's something known like an illness in a family or an event that's happening for particular students. But it is something to look at for sure.
On the high school level, you're looking at early dismissals too. You're also looking at the impact of number of kids who are leaving early because of sports.
That doesn't count.
That doesn't count against them.
Once they're there, they're there. We really have the kids who come because they have. Used to be years ago, employers would not hire kids of high school age during the day. That's not the case anymore. Since COVID. And sometimes it's for good reason. And people find it for their family. But that is something that we have been working on, especially after COVID. We need to work to make sure kids are realizing they come into school as an important part of their future. And the next thing I have to share gets at that work related. Oh. Okay, I'll move on to post-secondary outcomes. Now
Julie?
this, oh, go ahead.
Just before you leave the truancy, I've probably asked this before, and I know you don't have exact numbers, but I think in the beginning you were saying we never get below that 90%.
We have.
So, how does that compare, I know you won't have exact numbers, but to other districts in our area? Are they, I'm just wondering, is there anything different here, or are they suffering the same kind of truancy levels that we are?
Actually, I think we're doing pretty well. I've looked at national, it's a national challenge, it's been on the news, I've looked at some studies nationally, Vermont seems to be doing better nationally. I have looked at Vermont data, I don't have it with me, but I have had conversations with colleagues, and I haven't compared data with them. But I think we're doing better than some other schools, because it is a huge issue nationally.
Yeah.
And I think that the effort to ensure that at all levels, people are responding to it, so classroom teachers calling and saying, gee, we missed you when you were in school today. Or the guidance counselors calling and it's been or there's conversations with leadership or a social worker, depending on the circumstances, the nurse being involved, before people are getting at even more resources to help support families. It's at all levels, and not just when there's you've ticked over 10 days and only then do you pay attention. Really try and make sure we're letting families know how important it is to have their child in school every day, because there's so much learning cost.
When I was in school, they used to have awards for perfect attendance. I don't know if they still do that. We having perfect attendance.
Joyce, did you make a comment about that?
Oh.
You leaned forward.
I'm sorry, just leaving, but they asked us not to do them during COVID, but we haven't restarted with that.
You have. Thank you.
So, the third goal is post-secondary outcomes, and if you remember, we struggle to measure this in one way, so we have a lot of different data to look at in this area. I have linked for board members the presentation given by Tyler Meggs last month about college enrollment and what activities have been happening, just for people's reference. I thought it was important to put there. The first measurement is that VSAC survey, which is given it's supposed to be every 2 years, but then COVID kicked things around. And it's basically an every other year survey that happens. And in off years, MVU is surveying seniors, and same questions. This is a year that students are taking the VSAT version of the survey, so we won't have that information until the fall. We'll share that at the Student Success Committee and parent teacher. The second measurement is how many kids are in work-based placements and having experiences and internships and going to the tech centers, etc. And I don't have a chart of tech center attendance, but for the past 2 years, we've had 60 kids going to Northwest Career and Technical Center. We've expanded to 10th grade, where families and students feel that that's a choice that they want to make. And before that, it was in the 30 to 40 range. So we sometimes have trouble getting data from our tech centers, but we also have 4 or 5 kids who go to Old Hollow, and we have a student who goes to Essex. And so we have 65, 66 kids. And those students also get work-based learning experiences and internships at this program in their plan. So I don't have that data from those places, so what I'm sharing is what we're doing here at MVSD. So Richard Barwin is our work-based learning coordinator, who's also the department head of the ag department. And this year he had 24 students that he worked with and had job placements with. It's a smaller senior class, so proportionally that's pretty much similar to previous years. You can see the breakdown of the kinds of settings that students have been in. Construction and trades and property management. We had students with healthcare placements, a student who had a real estate internship, which we'll talk a little bit more about. We had 2 in automotive, 1 in sports recreation, 2 in agriculture, and 5 in retail. We also have expanded. We've also expanded our after-school opportunities, and Beth Ann's role has really become less just after school and more extended learning, and she has, as we've talked about in the past, done more she did that futures workshop last summer, and we'll be doing that again this summer. Talked to you about hiring students for the after-school program and training them and giving them internships. So we have expanded those opportunities there. So I have my old laptop and it turns on and off occasionally.
You know the budget passed, so Julie, you need your laptop.
No, I do have a new one. But when I've used the new one here at MVU, it's not used to Zoom meetings yet. So I thought I would, I'm darned if I do, and darned if I do. All right. Okay. We're back. So Beth Ann has had 21 students that are employed or volunteer until employed in the after-school program. 12 leaders, and they also are working this summer. And they do get customized training. So whenever somebody works for us, they need to know about bloodborne pathogens and what safety routines we have and what to do if somebody is bullied, etc. So she does customize for teenagers those trainings for them as well. So I think we give them certificates, but it's not the same as credentials. But it really is something that they can put on the resume and bring forward. It's definitely a benefit to them. And this summer, she actually has kids who are in her leadership program that are doing internships. And there are 2 students who will be at Lake Army. There is a student who is going to be working at Habitat Restore, a student working at the library in Swanton, 2 students who will be interning at the Northwest Access TV, a student at the Notch, And they have an offering of public relations and journalism. I can sort of show you their website where they have an application process, and then they have, you know, a description of the different kinds of internships that are available for students. So you may want to take a look at that. So it's really creative, and it's eye-catching, and it attracts students' interest for sure. So in general, what we wanted to measure is, do we have more experiences, internships, apprenticeships, et cetera, or kids that are in placements? Here is our work-based learning. As I said, percentage-wise, it's pretty flat from year to year. We had 33 kids last year, and we had 24, I think it was this year, that worked with Richard Bond. And Beth Ann worked with 18 last year as employees, and have I think it's 20, the numbers disappeared when I started hearing it, but 29 students were this year. So we're expanding by broadening the opportunities. So Richard wanted to share, and I know in the fall, his presentation kept getting moved because of budget conversations that he's having. Because he has several students that he wants to come and talk about their experience. And that would be a longer term time. So I've asked him to come earlier in the fall, before he's showing us data, but just to share the experiences, because I think they're pretty powerful. We have a student who has won the apprenticeship at the Swanton Hydro Electric plant in the village of Swanton. We have a full-time a student who just graduated who is in a full is now employed by Electrical and finished a full year of electrical apprenticeship. 2 students in pre-apprenticeships with Vermont Electric, 2 machinist apprenticeships with Husky injection molding as 11th graders, and then a student who had a full-time apprenticeship there and is after graduation now employed at Husky. So these are high leverage, careers. These are high paying skill positions that kids are getting prepared to do. And it's really life changing for some of these kids. One of the other measurements that we looked at for post-secondary outcomes when we're looking at employment is credentialing, right? In the tech center world, it's called industry recognized credentials. And then we also have students who've been certified or credentialed formally, being licensed or accredited in particular areas. So in our ag department, 6 students in animal science have industry recognized credentials in artificial insemination and fundamentals of animal science. And we are continuing to work to expand those credentialing opportunities for students in the program. We had 2 students who became certified dental assistants. We have 1 student who became a certified medical assistant, a student who became a licensed nursing assistant, a student who became a certified lifeguard at Hardack, and a student who took the course and became a licensed real estate agent. Took the test, whole 9 years. Very excited. I think that's it. That one. I have presentations within presentations. The next area of measuring our post-secondary progress was looking at how we're judged by the state, and then we're looking at our ranking, how many kids take the SATs and how well they perform, how many kids take AP and pass at a level that earns them college credit, etc. So I have some information on that. The SAT information, Tyler shared with you how many kids have taken it over the past 2 years, but we don't have the results until the fall. But I do have PSATs, and you can see our numbers of students taking them. We had 64 last year, we had 58 this year. It's we have a smaller class size too, senior class. But in terms of how well students scored, you can see the average score last year was 885, this year was 948, and the state average is 920, so we're trending up around how well students are doing. Obviously, we'll not look at longer trends, but that's positive. I tried to get the state average data, so it will help us see where we fit.
Is this state or it's marked as national? So I just wanna make sure that we're,
Oh, that's a national average. So yes, that must be national average.
okay.
Is the PSAT graded the same way as the SAT?
I'm sorry?
Is the PSAT graded on the same grading scale as the
Yeah.
SAT?
So, I wanted to share, this is not this year's data, this is from our annual snapshot, which is how some of you on the Student Success Committee thought how challenging that website is and how they collect our data. One of the areas for student outcomes is college readiness and performance on college readiness assessments. So I thought I would share that. And this is state, the yellow is state, not Columbus. So our AP scores, here it's how many students reached a 3 or higher, right? So that would be 9% 2 years ago, and then 11%. And this is how well, this is one of the, how well our statewide students do, 19%. So we have some work to do with that. A lot of our kids don't take the AP exam because they take the course through dual enrollment, so they automatically get the credit for college. So if you pass the dual enrollment AP class, you will get college credit. If you take an AP test, you may or may not get AP credit, college credit. So with dual enrollment, the AP test numbers aren't as big as they were, say, when I went to high school.
Do they display the same on the report card, like AP Science is AP Science? Or if they go and do it through dual enrollment, is it shown like
It's
CCV
still the name of
Science?
the course, yeah.
Okay.
Here's the industry recognized credentials. It's small numbers, but you can see across the state it's a small number, and we're making some growth there. College completion is how many students that, again, that the state surveys are completing college. I believe they call completing more than 2 years, so that's because they have associates as well. And as a state, it's only 31%, and NVU is at 26% last few years. College enrollment overall, NVU has been pretty solidly at 34%, and the state's at 41%. So there's a bit of a gap there, which we know, which is why we have, this is one of our goals. The SAT proficiency, again, this is where we struggle with the performance on these assessments, although our score has gone up over the last couple of years. And Word Keys is a tech center assessment, or proficiency on tech center standards.
Julie, so the college enhancement
Enrollment.
enrollment, sorry, I don't have my glasses on. So you're striving to get more students to go to college, just college, or to like a trade,
This
is that
piece of
included?
data is just college. This is coming, I believe, from the VSAT survey.
So the
statewide.
goal is to get more kids to go to college.
That's one of our overall goal is for kids to be successful after high school. And that's why we don't just look at college enrollment. That's why we're talking at length here about, apprenticeships and.
I just wanted to re-clarify it, because it sounded like we were just focusing on college, and I know that's not what we're doing, and I don't want to represent that that's what we're
Absolutely.
doing.
But if you compare us to the state, we're not at state average, but we're not far off.
I understand.
So, that, I think, Oh, yes, I have one more measurement that I won't go through, but I will show it to you, and that is, you can look at it at your leisure. Remember last year you had, a woman from VSAC came here with the team of administrators from MVU and talked about the aspirations team. On that team, you have principals, you have guidance directors, you've got Beth Ann, you've got Richard Barman, you've got Alyssa Urban, you've got all kinds of folks that are looking at flexible pathways, work-based learning, college enrollment, any kind of experience we can do to get kids successful after high school. And they're fabulously active steering committee, and they've done self-assessment last year, their first year, and they did another this year. And they've made some growth, and you can see, I put green for where their baseline, where they started, and the yellow is where they are assessing themselves this year. So informing families, they've made some progress there, and students. Integrating information about career and technology into the curriculum, they've made some progress there. That stage 2 is the diving in stage, right? They're doing the work, where before they just were thinking about it. Sorry, I wasn't clear enough about that. In some areas, they feel like they're still in the same range, so events and field trips, although next year, we have some events planned right at in-service time, and they have all the teachers in the high school are going to be doing tours of different industry opportunities in Franklin County, so that even though I'm an English teacher in 10th grade, I can picture my students in this setting, and that really can make a difference in how I'm encouraging them and making it relevant to them when they're reading and writing. Also, educator agency, having teachers involved again, we felt that that's pretty much the same as last year. They're beginning to do that work. Professional learning for teachers has increased, the leadership team in the group is pretty committed, but they're still in the beginning stages. And then because we do have some staff that are dedicated to flexible pathways and work-based learning and extended learning opportunities, they feel like they're in that middle range there with really doing the work and achieving the work to get kids into places. So making progress there as well. And I like the fact that they assess themselves every year so they can really be sure that they're purposeful and looking to the future in that sense. So that's what I have so far, and when we have the results of that VSAC survey, we'll be able to look at that.
Any other questions or comments?
I know it's a lot, but it's important to.
Thank you for putting all these in so we can go back to
Yeah, I think that
we look at it. Joyce, you may go back to your outline.
You sure?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, thank you for coming down, appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate the commitment I did. And I hate to say it, but I like my brownies half baked, so I don't feel like I'm looking past it now. Thank you. I hope you all have a good rest of the night.
Thank you, Joyce. Yeshua and Chris, you may also leave, and have a great night, and thank you so much.
Good night, thank you.
For the last goal, I'm gonna throw it to Bonnie to talk about our strategic retention work.
So our goal, I believe, was to hit 88% for professional staff retention, which we did achieve. So our retention numbers are based on contracts that were issued to contracts coming back. For teachers, they're employed for a full year or so and under contract. So for support staff, I threw that one in here even though that wasn't part of the goal, but our numbers were really good, so I wanted to share that. I was really impressed with the number of support staff that we have returning this year. It's not to say we don't have any turnover that happens during the year, but this is at the snapshot in time of who is employed at the time we issue contracts. And we had a 95% retention rate for support staff, so I just thought that was really important to share, especially when we felt like things were up in the air with our budget and everything, that we had so many returning to us. So for our professionals, someone go to the next slide.
Just real quick on it.
Yeah.
Could you just elaborate on right and listening, professional and support staff?
Sure. Yes. So our professional data is based on our union educational professionals. So our teachers, our school nurses, our guidance counselors, all of them fall under that professional master agreement. So they're in the professional category, and they are issued contracts in end of March each year. Our support staff are our custodians, maintenance, our student support staff, which is all of our paraeducators, and some of our administrative staff in schools. So they fall under our educational support staff master agreement, and their contracts by, according to the master agreement, have to be issued by June 1st. So when we're looking at our retention comparison, we have increased significantly in the last couple of years in our professional staff retention. So that is our teaching population. So in FY22, we had only 79% retention, and it has steadily grown each year. So I'm pretty proud of where we are at this point. If we look by school, all of our schools except for Highgate went up in their retention. Highgate they don't have a huge number of professional staff, so it looks like a bigger hit when they have a couple of retirements and a couple of teachers moving to different areas. So, but MVU, I was very impressed to see go up to 92% teacher retention rate this year. I thought that was very impressive, and Swanton increased 6% as well, which I thought was great. So district-wide, we keep going up in the right direction. Any questions on this before I show the group?
Do you want me to go back?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, generally, are there any trends that you've seen, or why, where we may lose a few, we do that, not counting retirements and stuff like that?
We actually had a large number of people move this year. So I have conducted 29 exit interviews over the past week with our departing professional staff. And I would say we have had less than 5 teachers this year going to another local school.
So they're moving out of state?
Out of state or to an area that is not conducive to daily travel. Moving to Addison County, moving to Lamoille County, so that is what we see when we have kind of a more, fresher out of college population, that as they start to settle into their lives and figure things out, then they settle down in different places, or they came to Vermont to go to college and they taught here for a couple of years, and now they've decided that they want to move back home. So I think I had probably 6 people in that category that I met with.
So it's that same group that initially comes here, we train, we get great experience too, they get a couple of years, get marketable, and then they go somewhere further away or home.
So we actually had a lot of people leaving for other experiences too. We had a few going to grad school who taught and then realized that they like education, they want to do something in education, but they want to do grad school while they can, before they settle down and have families and things. But yes, I mean, we get I'm not gonna say kids, it ages me, but we get college students, you know, they graduate from UVM, we've had a fair amount that stay here, they come here for their student teaching and they stay here. And they like it and they get some experience, and then, you know, we had 2 that now their friends graduated and they moved, but their families aren't from here, and now they don't have a community anymore, right? So they move on to maybe moving back home, maybe moving in with a girlfriend or boyfriend, you know, that kind of thing. So it's too bad we lost some really great ones this year, but we didn't lose them down the road, which I think is really important to know. And the exit interviews were really great this year. Everything, you know, even when people share information that can be, you know, not the most positive information, they're very respectful and do it in, you know, a really great way that shows that they want to improve the school, right? They're not leaving. I didn't have anybody who was negative about our schools in general. Even, you know, whether they're moving on or not, they still want what's best for the schools. And I heard across the board, well, this has been like my family, or my heart lies here, or if I could pick up all of the supports I have here and move them with me, I would. So they were really great. I looked, I did 33 of them last year and 29 this year. So, you know, we're gathering good information through it. So that leads me to, so last night I knew, so I apologize to Joanna and Elaine. I knew I felt like I was like stumbling after I did that, like I was missing something, and I did. I missed some information that I had wanted to talk about. So you guys have seen this yet. But I just wanted to share a little bit of information about why retention is so important and why it is something I have been putting more into. So I started doing roundtables this year with staff because last year I had such great exit interview information, but then it's too late. And so I really wanted to try to get information from people who are here and who can offer up what, you know, how we can improve, what we can do to ensure that we retain more of our staff. So one of the biggest things that leads to retention is employee engagement. And then, so it kind of all is a loop. So some of the factors that lead to employee engagement, I feel like we do a really great job at here. So professional development is one. We get tons of compliments on Kosha and all of the things that she sets up for our new teachers. They feel so supported and educated in their first couple of years, but also the in-service trainings and things that we do. Communication. I have started this year working harder on communicating more to our staff, so I do a monthly HR update now with all of the things, because we have all these dates that come out all year long, right? You have to submit your cash in lieu request by this date, you have to submit your something else by this date, right? So trying to get more communication out there. I know Derek does a lot of communicating about different tech things and things to be aware of and stuff. Recognition and appreciation, that's information that I ask in our exit interviews as well. Have you felt recognized for your achievements? A lot of people are like, I don't really have an achievement. So I'm like, okay, well, do you feel appreciated for what you do? Because rewards and recognition is a big piece to employee satisfaction. Our trust in our leadership, I ask those questions in our exit interviews and our roundtables. Feedback loops, so people like to be asked how they feel, so that was some really positive information I got from the roundtables was thank you for just asking us. And I conducted a SWOT analysis for our administrators based on the data I received from the roundtables, and then we had a really great meeting with that, and I know Kosha took it and ran, and she incorporated some things in for our in-services and stuff for next year, things that people ask. Our principals, it inspired them to put some surveys out to people. So that's really great. Job satisfaction, that one comes a little easier because they get the joy, right? The teachers, they get the joy right? They have the kids that provide them the joy in the days that are really hard. So job satisfaction tends to be a little easier to come by for them. And fair compensation. And we did get a lot of compliments on our master agreement and everything that we put into it in the last negotiation. So we actually did not have anybody tell us that they were leaving because of money. So employee engagement leads to employee retention. And so the factors that lead to employee retention are pay and benefits, a work-life balance and wellness emphasis. So VHI does a really great job of promoting wellness activities. We have a wellness facilitator in every one of our buildings. We really push that out. Opportunities for advancement. I think we have done a better job over the years of succession planning when we see the strengths of employees, and we tend to work with them, and that's a benefit of knowing all of your employees. Culture and shared values. Onboarding and training is a big one. We do, when we have new teachers come on, the HR department does group onboarding sessions in every, for all the teachers. So it's any school, they all come together and we do group onboarding sessions, so maybe they make a friend. And then when we do the new employee orientation, they have somebody to sit with and stuff. And our new teacher orientation, I think is amazing. I think we do a really good job with that. They're exciting days and it's fun, and all of our district leaders do things. It's really great. Strong leadership and then employee engagement. So some of your benefits to employee retention are cost savings. One statistic says, from SHRM says it can cost approximately 6 months of a person's salary to replace them due to the lost work time, and the costs of recruitment and training and bringing somebody back up to speed. Employee morale, when you have a large turnover, your morale goes down. We have definitely seen that in the district, so I really hope that we are going in the other direction. The productivity of employees, so they're more productive if they're already aware of the processes and procedures and how a business runs. The company culture, the culture's higher when you have retention. If people walk in the door thinking that everybody only stays for 2 years anyway, they tend to not, the veteran people tend to not bond with them, and that creates culture. I'm gonna say customer satisfaction, because that's what the research says, but I think it equates to better outcomes for kids. I think we all can agree to that having consistent staff is what's better for kids. And then company reputation. It's a better appearance to our community if we don't have staff, buckets of staff leaving all the time. It's better to our staff. It's better for our other schools as well, because if you have one school that a lot of people are leaving, then it gets a bad rap in our district among the other schools too. And our potential hires, right? If we have high turnover all the time, then it's harder to attract candidates because they wonder why. So, and that leads back to if we have engaged employees, our retention is better. So I think we are definitely moving in the right direction, and I'm excited that we increased our retention percentage so much this year, and see what we can come up with for next year.
Any questions for me? About the work thing.
Alright, so that was the end of your goals portion of the presentation, and then the next is the continuous improvement plan that went before the State Success Committee last month, and Kosha will give you a short, just what our three goals, large goal is.
So one of the things we found out from the state this year is that we don't necessarily have to have a continuous improvement plan for just 1 year or 2 years. We could make it into a longer term plan. So keeping in mind that we are planning a strategic plan for 5 years, we thought it would make sense to have a continuous improvement plan match a strategic plan. And so you can see that it says 2024 to 2029. And we are going to keep the goals the same because it takes time, as I said, to build up that expertise around new curriculum for our teachers. So for a safe and healthy schools goal, we said we'd like to really build an effective multi-tiered system of supports so that students have all the required SEL competencies in order to be able to be successful academically. So what we are doing next year is we've identified priority standards from pre-K through grade 6, and we're working on 7 through 12, and we will be teaching explicitly our SEL curriculum in all of those grade levels. And MVUs work on 9th and 10th grade, how they're going to incorporate SEL lessons into advisories, and then they'll be expanding it to the middle and other grade levels. For academic achievement, we changed our goal a little bit to, we would really like to see that 70% proficiency in reading by grade 3, and that's based on what the research is telling us, is that if students are not reading proficiently by grade 3, they are less likely to catch up to grade level, and they have a higher rate of dropping out of school. So we want to really concentrate our efforts on getting our K3 students to be proficient and then try to maintain that over the upper grades. And
Coach, I just have a question on the wording on that, because you have 70% of K11 students. Do you mean the just MVSD students will be reading proficiently in grade 3? Oh, and remain beyond. Okay. Thank you. I've looked at it so many times.
it's K11 because we don't use start 316 12th grade, so that's the measure we are using. And then for the attendance goal, it's really to continue working on, as Julie explained, is really thinking about those students who are at risk and trying to put supports in place to remove any barriers that they may have to coming to school on a regular basis. And we want to improve that by at least 50% of the students who may be in those at-risk categories, to reduce that. So those are the goals we've set for the next 5 years. I've submitted this continuous improvement plan to the state. They have already approved it. And then I think Joanne was going to make a recommendation to the board.
That we also approve it.
So at this point, I really request that the board also gives their approval for 3 goals for activities.
I guess just like that, I'll make the first motion.
Thank you, Joanne.
I'll second.
Melanie? Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Do we still have time?
Dawn is still there. Make that 8-0.
Jen, did you hear me vote
Oh,
yes?
no, okay, oh, perfect, thank you,
Perfect, Dawn,
Dawn.
thank you.
Thank you, motion carries 9-0.
Okay.
So we want to thank the board for all your support. We know that, it's taken a lot of time and effort, but we are confident now with all the things that we've put in place that we will start seeing more progress over the next few years.
Next agenda item is open meeting law complaint procedures.
I don't need any action on this at all, but I wanted to make sure, I know all of you who get the Vermont School Board Association updates saw the law passed, and there's a requirement, it would change the open meeting law that school districts have open meeting law violation process, so if somebody wants to make a complaint, and so I linked in your agenda is the procedure that was modeled by the School Board Association, and I made sure that was put on our website in our procedure section. So I wanted to call this attention to the fact that we put that in place as soon as practical.
those new professional hires.
So. Yes, so we have 3 for you today. We have more coming in the next 2 weeks. Mike's been working hard as our principals. But we have a classroom teacher, Haley Falls, who will be coming to teach possibly first grade in Miss Wilmington. And we have Sarah Mascaro, who is going to be joining MVU's health team. We have been, bless you, we've been unable to hire a health teacher, but school nurses, registered nurses are able to be certified to teach health. And so rather than just taking our nurse and saying, teaching health now, we hired a second nurse and they're dividing it up. So Sarah will be teaching middle school health and Alyssa will be teaching high school health and sharing middle school health. And so we're going to try that this year and see how that works. And she's fabulous and resides in Franklin and has a lot of experience as a nurse. And then we have Ariel Meyer, who is coming to NVU to be a middle school social studies teacher. And so we're looking for your approval.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Eric. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Don. Questions, comments?
Did you say where Ariel is from? Or she's from another school district?
No, she's fresh out of college.
She's out of college. What about Amy?
Fresh out of college.
Fresh out of college. That may be why Bonnie accidentally slipped and said kids. Professional.
All those in favor of approving the new hires, please say aye. Thank you, Don. Motion carries 9-0.
So unfortunately, we also have a resignation. Jennifer Gagne, who is our school nurse at Highgate, resigned last year, going to private practice. Wanted to come back, we were pleased she came back, and now she's made the decision that really she is going to leave school nursing. And so she is resigning and not going to another school, but going into health. I'm not sure what her plans are, but she is definitely made a decision that this was her last. And we're sorry that that happened, but we definitely wish her well. She's given so much service to our school, but especially if she's continuing to feel this way, then I think it's the right decision. And we will be the first one to say that.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Second.
Thank you, Megan. Questions, comments? All those in favor of accepting the letter of resignation, please say aye.
Good.
Thank you, Don.
Julie, is that going to be a tough one to fill?
Well, we hope we have a lead.
We already have 3 candidates. It hasn't been posted for very long. We had a runner-up from the MVU position that we hired, so they have also applied, and surprisingly, we are getting candidates. So Yeshua was not overly concerned that he was going to be able to fill it in time.
That's good news, because usually that's a tough one.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But luckily, those graduates just went into the nursing graduates, so so hopefully.
Good. Good.
You know, although there's a significant nursing shortage because of what the job entails of a nurse in a hospital setting, it's pretty long days, tough schedules. School nursing does look pretty good. So we do tend to do pretty well before patient.
sending for executive session for administrative contracts approvals. Inviting in Julie. Thank you, Felicia.
You'll also be able to see the future board meetings, because I was in slideshow sharing, that the New Year's schedule is now linked in every agenda. And, we swapped it up a little bit because we were always hitting certain schools at different times that weren't necessarily good times for them. So we worked with principals to make sure that they were, we always adjust it as things come up, but this will be a overdue of our regular meetings.
Julie,
Yes, Don?
we're going to executive session. Is there any update on our land deal with individuals in town of Swanton?
Yes, thank you, Don. I met with Mr. Rowell and Brian Savage last week and signed the letter of agreement between the three parties. So next, they'll be moving forward with the surveying, etc.
Okay. Thank you.
We're not gonna lose Dawn, are we?
No, because I'm the co-host, so
Okay,
if
perfect.
Joyce is excused.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't think she clicked off.
She ran out the door.
She just ran out the door, so, yeah, if we could just, move Joyce.
Sorry, Joyce.
Do I have to go off and come back on?
No,
No, you should be fine, because the only, we'll take the owl down, obviously.
Are you sure?
Oh.
You know what? I can leave this up because there's nothing going on here, so I can leave it as is. I'll just stop the recording and you
Okay.
guys can do it.
Okay, that'll work.
yes.
Teasing you.
But,
Okay, so, yes, the retreat, is, I'm not sure that everyone was here the last time when we mentioned, so July 10th at the Abbey is, when we had seminar a couple of weeks ago. So we did confirm the Abbey is available, so we could start at 5, they could provide us with a meal at 5:30, and then move to the lounge for actual retreat program. So 5 to 5:30 would be one meeting, 5:30 to 6, so one meeting separate, and then the retreat. And I'll be sending out an email, if not later tonight, and tomorrow evening, just to quickly talk about board goals, because that's the beginning of it, and then we can get into other things during the retreat, but we usually start off. Board goals. I will likely not be able to. So then we have got company.
I also, spoke with, I'm gonna forget her name, so I apologize, but the professional development person at the Vermont School Board Association in Naval, who she will be able to support us in August, we're gonna give her some dates, I reached out to Jen, with, do we want an August board meeting to turn into a retreat? We extend it a little, or do we want to set a time? But I'll send her some dates and then we can work, on something for self-assessment and the new governance standards, about structures and processes and things like that.
We may have a better idea after July 10th, like the last
Absolutely.
time. We wanted to do.
Yeah, like the great topic is, what do we want?
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, John.
So, just need you
We
here.
would just need to make a motion to go into executive session.
So I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for administrative contract.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Renee. Second. Stephanie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Don. Motion carries 9-0.